What's going on, everybody? This is Andre here with the Kevin Breeze channel, and this is tips, tricks, and hidden features for the Samsung Galaxy A52 5G. Today, I'm going to be showing you some different features on this phone that you might not know about yet. Let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to show you guys is what we can do with the power button. So by default, when we double tap the power button, it's going to open the camera. But let me show you some other options we have. So to get there, we're going to go to Settings, Advanced Features, Side Key, and you can see the default setting, Quick Launch Camera. You can also have it open Bixby, or you can have it open any app you want. Now you also have some options for press and hold. So by default, pressing and holding is going to wake up Bixby. Now when it's like this, you might be wondering, how do you actually power off the phone now? Well, when you have the press and hold open Bixby instead of the power menu, there are two different options you have. The first one is pressing and holding the power button and the volume down button at the same time. And that's going to bring up your power off menu. You can also open your quick panel like this. And the power button is going to be right here, and you can use that to do the same thing. But personally, I don't use Bixby, and I honestly think it's kind of annoying. So I like to be able to press and hold the power key to open the power off menu. But if you do use Bixby and that works better for you, then you do have those other options available to power off your phone if you ever need to. Now the next thing I'm going to show you is how to change your clock style. It's going to be either on your always on display, which is this little black screen where the screen's not exactly awake, but it's not exactly completely off either, or it's going to be on your lock screen itself. So we're going to go to Settings, Lock Screen. All you need to do is hit Clock Style, and now it's going to give you the option between the always on display and the lock screen. For this example, we're going to do the always on display, but it's the exact same kind of thing for the lock screen. It's just a different spot that the changes will actually affect. So once you select where you actually want to change the clock, you're going to be given a few different options for the style of the clock. For example, we're going to choose this, and now you can also choose a color. In addition to this, you can also add different animations and different themes as well. When you're done making changes, go ahead and hit done. And now it's going to take you back to the lock screen menu. And to check to see what it looks like, all you need to do is lock the screen and it's going to show up. You do basically the same thing for the actual lock screen, but if you're ever editing the always on display anyway, there also is an option to change the clock style from there. And that's going to go right to it. It doesn't really make a difference where you go, but at the same time, it is good to know that there are different areas you can access this menu. The next thing I'm going to show you is how to customize the navigation bar. The navigation bar, in case you're new to Android, is these three buttons down here. And there are a few things you can do to customize them. So we're going to go to Settings, Advanced Features, hit the search bar, and type Navigation. It's going to come up right here. Open the navigation bar menu. You have the option for the default setting, which is the recent apps button here and the back button here. And you can also switch it around. The home button will stay in the same place no matter what you choose. And then you can choose swipe gestures to transform the system navigation altogether. Swipe gestures is going to give you what's called gesture navigation. And with gesture navigation, it completely takes away the buttons. And as the name implies, you'll be able to get around your phone using only gestures. Let me show you how it works. So to go home, instead of pressing a home button, all you need to do is swipe up. To open your recent apps, the button is replaced by the gesture of dragging your finger up from the bottom. And last but not least, to go back, swipe from one end of the phone to the other. And I used to think that it was from left to right, but it actually can be left to right or right to left. I think that's a little weird. Some phones have the ability to go forward by swiping right to left, and I actually like that better. But pretty much everything else with gesture navigation on this phone is really seamless and really easy to use. So I typically do prefer gesture navigation over the 3-button navigation. Now this is definitely something that's completely up to personal preference, so be sure to play around with it and see what one works best for you. The next thing I'm going to show you is the battery percentage. As you can see right here, the battery percentage is in the corner on the status bar, but I'm going to show you how to get rid of it if you don't want it there. So we're going to go to Settings, Battery and Device Care, Battery, More Battery Settings, and the battery percentage by default on this phone is toggled on. So if you don't want it there, you can of course toggle it off. I personally prefer it this way just because I think it looks a lot cleaner. And besides, if I ever do want to see the battery percentage, I can just pull down this bar and it's going to be right there anyway. The next thing I'm going to show you is a feature called Dual Messenger. Dual Messenger is a really cool feature. If you have two different accounts on a certain app, for example, Snapchat or Facebook, and you want to be able to log into one and the other without actually having to log out of one and log back into the other, Dual Messenger makes this really fast and convenient. So let's see how we get there. We're going to go to Settings, Advanced Features, and Dual Messenger. The Dual Messenger menu is going to have a list of apps that are compatible, and all you need to do to download a copy of it is turn it on. The next thing I'm going to show you is how to customize your home screen. This is probably one of the first things you're actually going to want to do when you get the phone, or at least for me it is. And you can get to these settings from the settings menu, but this is so much easier, and it's going to give you not only settings, but a bunch of other different options to help you make your home screen your own. All you need to do is press and hold any finger on the home screen itself for just a second, and this menu is going to show up. You can go through all the themes, wallpapers, widgets, settings, whatever you need to really personalize it. So it's definitely a good feature to know about. The next thing I'm going to show you how to do is how to hide an app. There's several different reasons you might want to hide an app, and it's really easy to do. All you need to do is go to those home screen settings I showed you earlier, go to the Settings tab. You're going to see the Hide Apps section. Hit that, and now you can go through this list and hide whatever apps you want to hide. And once you hide them, they're going to be invisible from both the home screen and the app drawer, and you actually have to go back here and unhide them in order to see them again. And let me just show you what this looks like. So for example, I'm going to hide Chrome, and it's going to be up here at the top, so you're not actually going to have to go search for everything in order to unhide it again. The next thing I'm going to show you is a feature called Lift to Wake. Basically, what this feature does is turns on your phone screen whenever you pick it up, so you don't actually have to press any buttons or touch the screen at all. To get to it, we're going to go to Settings, Advanced Features, Motions and Gestures, and then toggle this part on. And now, say the phone's off, we have it face down, pick it up, and it's going to turn on. It's a pretty cool feature. Now, I don't think that this is a super useful feature. It's definitely not a game changer by any means, but it's one of those things that's just a really nice little convenience that I personally don't see a point in not having on, because even though it doesn't really do a whole lot, it does have its value as far as the convenience factor goes. Now, the next thing I'm going to show you is called One-Handed Mode. One-handed mode basically makes the main display really tiny, so you can easily use the phone with only one hand. Right now, if you try to use the phone with one hand, you risk dropping it with all the awkward angles you need to actually reach the other side of the phone. Phones have really gotten that big these days. So to get to one-handed mode, we're going to go to Settings, Advanced Features, and toggle on one-handed mode. Once you toggle it on, you're going to be able to change a couple options. By default, the way you activate it is from a gesture. So the gesture basically goes like this. But I personally feel like that's a little tricky, especially if you're not familiar with those types of gestures. And sometimes it takes a few tries. You can't just instantly get into one-handed mode like that. And it's even harder to do it from a screen that's not the home screen. So from here, it does take a little getting used to. So the other thing that you can do is hit where it says gesture, and that's going to take you to this screen, and you can change it to button. And now instead of doing the gesture where you slide from just above the home button, which in itself is kind of confusing, all you need to do is double tap the home button, and it's going to go into one-handed mode. And you can also hit these little arrows to change the positioning of the display on the actual screen. So if you're left-handed or right-handed, you can still use it just fine. Now this is pretty much it. This is what one-handed mode looks like. It is really interesting. I like it a lot. I don't really ever use it that often, but I just think it's cool that if you're ever in a situation where you have to use your phone but only have one hand free, you can still easily do it. Once you're done with one-handed mode, all you need to do is just tap right here outside the screen, and it's going to go back to normal. You don't even need a double tap, just one tap is all it takes. Now the last thing I'm going to show you is one of the most prominent features of Android 11, and that's the Edge panel. This is the Edge panel. you have access to all kinds of different things. Right here, you see we have a quick list of apps, and you can also hit this button right here, this little grid, and it's gonna take you to other apps you can add to your Edge panel. Not only that, but you can edit the order of things right here. You can also add different tabs, so people, that's gonna show contacts, and you can add something like a clipboard or weather. And now, once you have all those tabs, you can scroll between all of them. And another interesting thing about the Edge panel that some people might not know about is that you can actually activate multitasking mode from that. For example, I'm gonna go in Google Chrome, and say I wanna use YouTube as well. You can actually open your Edge panel and drag YouTube onto the screen. And now you're in multitasking mode. You don't even need to go to your recent apps for this. You can just have it like that. And then once you want to close everything, you can just shut it off like that. The Edge panel is really cool, and I definitely suggest playing around with it because there is a lot to it, a lot of different things you can do, and it really just takes personal experience to decide for yourself which parts of it are the most useful. But this is tips, tricks, and hidden features for the Samsung Galaxy A52 5G. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and hopefully you learned something new as well. If you did, be sure to leave a thumbs up and subscribe. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next video.